Hi, it's Pastor Paul L. Anderson here at the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, where we believe God's blessings never stop flowing. Oh, it is Terrific Tuesday. We thank God for the wonderful ways He continues to bless all of us and keep us right in the center of His will. You know, I love that song that says, Jesus, you're the center of my joy. You know, joy comes in the great things that happens, not only with us, but those around us. I want to take a moment of personal privilege to say happy wedding anniversary to my nephew, Alan, and his wife, Tanae. May the Lord bless you and may you have many, many more. And what two beautiful daughters you both have. Today, I invite you to look with me at Psalm 55, verses 1 through 7. This is a very powerful message. It's again a Psalm of David. You know, David was that great musician. So he is now sharing with us a psalm that he has the accompaniment of a string instrument. You know, David was such a skillful musician. He played upon his harp. David would blow his flute. David would just play every instrument because he knew he was created to glorify God. Today, I want you to hear out of Psalm 55, verse 1 through 7. These are the words of David. Listen to my prayer, O God, and do not ignore my cry for help. You know, David is at a point right now. This is Psalm 55, that David realizes that he has need of help. He says, listen to my prayer, O God. We must remind ourselves that prayer is conversation with God. It is not a monologue, but it's a dialogue. It's us talking to God and God speaking back to us. We should always be ready to say, God, I want to talk to you. You know, he says, don't ignore my cry for help. We can't help but ask ourselves the question, why is David thinking God will ignore him? Well, David understands that sin cannot be in the presence of God. David has sinned. Now David is crying out for help from God. He realizes that he has disappointed himself and he has also disappointed his heavenly Father. So he says in verse 2, please listen and answer me, for I am overwhelmed by my trouble. My enemies shout at me, making loud and wicked threats. They bring trouble to me and they angrily hunt me down. My heart pounds in my chest. The terror of death assaults me. David is at a place in his life that he realizes that because of his sins, God is about to do something with David that David knew. I need to get it right. Well, when you and I pause, when we take a moment to reflect, we realize that the enemies that are round about us are the enemies that sometimes we have invited. Well, see, David's sin invited evil. And whenever you and I invite evil into our lives, it comes with all of his friends. This text lets us see that David is going through a situation in verse 4 where he's having a panic attack. He said, my heart pounds in my chest. It didn't say my heart beats, but it pounds. This means that David is now having a serious emotional crisis. David is now being terrorized with fear. And he also not only has the fear of his enemies, but he has the fear of death, believing that death is going to come upon him. Well, you know, David is fearing death because David now knows that he could possibly die and his relationship with God will not be as it should be. This text reminds all of us that we need to do what David did. In verse 5, he has, with fear and trembling, I am overwhelmed and I can't stop shaking. Then he said, if I had the wings like a dove, then I'll fly away and be at rest. David is saying, Lord, get me out of this thing. I want to get away from it. He says that if I could go just get away from it all and get to the wilderness, it is then that David realizes it is in the presence and it is in the power of God that only he can be delivered. May this text remind all of us that when you and I get ourselves to the place that panic seems to attack, we must pause, think about the goodness of God, and ask God to give us that peace. You know that song, when peace like a river attends my soul, I can say it is well. David was at a point where he couldn't say it is well, but may you and I learn from David and get it right so we can say it is well with my soul. May God bless you. May heaven smile upon you. Always know that you're exceedingly and abundantly blessed, and God has a great blessing in store for you, and we'll look forward to sharing with you again on tomorrow.
To sow a seed to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship, visit our newly redesigned website, thefountainofraleigh.org, and select Sow a Seed from the homepage. Also, giving has been made easier with the new Fountain of Raleigh app, available now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. Download today, select Giving from the main menu, and then follow the directions to complete your giving through Subsplash.
Thank you so very much for all of your gifts and donations that you've given to the Fountain of Raleigh Fellowship. We thank you for what you've done in the past, what you're currently doing, and what you will do in the future. Your gifts and donations helps us to spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, not only locally, but throughout the world. Thank you again for your gifts, and may God continue to richly bless you. It is here at the Fountain that we believe that we are exceedingly and abundantly blessed, and may you receive those blessings that God has in store for you.